Chapter 211. Play of Anomaly number 33. Instead of answering, Neo gave the defense team leader a cold stare. He turned to the policeman. "Take him away." The policeman nodded. They hurried to pick the defense team leader before Neo changed his mind. Just as they stepped out of the room, Neo suddenly spoke. "Announce it to the town. Next time someone does something like this again, I won't let them go alive." "Why?" "Yes." Neo placed his sword into the scabbard. His consciousness grew hazy, then, with a snap, he woke up on a different day. Neo was used to the disconcerting sensation of losing control over his mind and regaining it by now. He didn't waste his time and delved into his memory. "This is getting ridiculous," he muttered. Protests had started throughout the city. They rallied against Neo, calling him a tyrant, demanding justice. In the meantime, the hate against Cain took a turn for the worse. Cain was kidnapped a few days ago and nearly killed at the hands of citizens. In their words, they wanted to stop the statue monsters attacking the city. Neo had saved Cain, of course. Recalling the whole incident left a bitter taste in Neo's mouth. Anomaly number 33 let go of its control over Cain's mind during the kidnapping. It wanted to see how Cain would react. Neo pursed his lips. Not just Cain, Anomaly number 33 would randomly free citizens from the mind control to enjoy their reactions. Intelligent monsters really are the worst. Neo sunk into his chair and stared at the ceiling. By now, it was easy to guess Anomaly number 33's goal. "It's almost 1 month since I entered this city. In 5 days, the 233rd Ars City Festival would take place." Neo rubbed his neck with one hand. 5 days until I'm hanged, and my soul is eaten by Anomaly number 33. He chuckled. Anomaly number 33 and he were perfect counters to each other. It made him wonder if Shadow Supreme started his trial near this place to see Neo and Anomaly number 33 clash. Neo's vision grew hazy, and Anomaly number 33 took control. Just then, the door of the mayor's office was opened. Cain rushed inside. "Neo. How are you?" He stopped speaking when he noticed Neo's muddled gaze. "He is under the monster's control." Cain bit his lips. The frequency at which Cain could recover his mind was starting to increase. It did not take him long to realize the citizens were under the control of a monster. "Why did you enter my office without any appointment?" Neo asked, under Anomaly number 33's control. Cain's expression worsened. Awakeners were akin to gods. Neo especially was far stronger than any awakener Cain had seen. That's why he depended on Neo. On a kid who looked half his age. "Buck, what have I been doing until now?" thought Cain. His gaze grew determined. "Neo, let's leave the city. You know the statue monsters won't stop coming after you. Sooner or later, the city will become collateral damage in your battles," Cain said. "There is no need for you to worry about that. I can handle a few monsters on my own." Was it because Cain gave a reasonable reasoning to leave the city, or was it because it was time to end things? Awakeners of the city rushed into the office. They pushed Cain aside and surrounded Neo. "Quite a few people are coming to meet me today," Neo said. The head of city police stepped forward. He took out a document. "This is a warrant to take the mayor, Neo Hargraves, into custody. The city will judge your crimes." "What? That's absurd. Nate hasn't done anything." Cain reacted. The head of city police turned to Cain and glared at him. "Shut up, old man. You are going to jail too." Unsurprisingly, Neo didn't object to being jailed. He peacefully let himself be cuffed. "Not going to throw a tantrum now, Sir Divine Ruler?" the head of city police questioned sarcastically. "I know that justice will take my side." Neo and Cain were jailed inside the city's prison. Explore more stories at MBL Novelfire.net. Cain's mind was in chaos. He continued to try and escape the prison, but it was useless. A normal human like him was powerless. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Again. He couldn't do anything. 5 days later, Cain was allowed to go. He stared at the prison guard with vacant gaze. The prison guard frowned. Cain hadn't eaten anything for the past few days. His cheeks had become hollow, and his limbs were thin. It wasn't a pleasant sight. "Get out. You have been bailed." "How?" It was the mayor's wish. Cain's eyes widened. He understood the prison guard's words, but he did not understand them at the same time. The prison guard grabbed Cain's hand, who was too weak to resist, and threw him out of the prison. Outside, Cain noticed the city draped in a festive atmosphere. They are celebrating the monthly festival. Cain's face contorted. He couldn't understand what was wrong with the monster who was controlling the city. Among the dozens of people talking around him, his mind inexplicably focused on a particular sound. Mom, I want to go to the city center. I heard they are holding the festival's main performance there. The little girl looked at her mom with puppy eyes. The mother smiled bitterly and caved into her daughter's demands, taking her to the city center. City center. Isn't it the 13th Street Avenue? Cain mumbled. He recalled the previous mayor being hanged in the very same place, and the dozens of corpses hanging on street lights. No, this can't be happening. He rushed to the city center. Throughout the way, he couldn't help but recall the prison guard's words. It was the mayor's wish. Not mayor's order. But wish. Cain reached the city center just in time for the announcer to end his speech. 50 of our city's brave warriors fought together to put down the mayor. Yeah. Hang him. The host of the show pulled the cloth down from the stage, revealing Neo about to be hanged. Unlike the previous mayor, he wasn't overreacting. He stood just there, as if he had accepted his fate. Death to the tyrant mayor. Death to the tyrant mayor. The city cheered as the platform beneath Neo's feet vanished and he was hanged. Cain's mind blanked. He couldn't think or comprehend what was happening. His body moved on its own. He pulled the sword out of the waist of the city guard next to him and dashed forward to rescue Neo. Cain wasn't under the monster's control. He knew he would be killed if he tried to rescue Neo. What am I doing? Cain's thoughts started to move. I'm a coward. Why am I acting like a hero when it's useless? He pushed away the guards who were trying to block his path and jumped onto the stage. I ran away when the monsters attacked the previous base. I escaped while my own brother sacrificed his life to save me. Awakeners among the citizens reacted quickly. They grabbed Cain. Cain could feel the monster trying to control his mind and stop him before he saved Neo. Yeah, I'm a coward. I should stop before I get killed. Cain persuaded the Awakeners. He pulled his sword back and he bent his knees slightly. Unknown to him, an ethereal power materialized around his blade. Cain would get killed. He could feel the monster trying to tear apart his mind because it couldn't control him. But it was okay. Sometimes there were things one must do no matter the cost. Cain swung the sword towards the rope when suddenly someone grabbed the blade. I thought you weren't an Awakener. Neo, who should have been dead, raised his head and looked at Cain with a grin. Much to Cain's surprise, his eyes were clear. He wasn't under the monster's control. WH. What? How are you alive? Dumbass, a rope isn't enough to kill an Awakener. Well, this isn't a normal rope though. Neo winced as the rope tightened around his neck. He shifted his gaze to Cain's sword. Anyway, congratulations. You've awakened. Neo curled his thumb and pressed it against his middle finger, aiming at Cain's forehead. Now, off you go. I'll return after taking care of this monster. He flicked Cain's forehead. The simple action contained ginormous force behind it. Cain was blown away. The aftershocks of the attack threw everyone off stage. Darkness. Come, Neo chanted. The shadows danced in the night. The darkness hidden within them bloomed and formed a dome around him. I guess there is no need to continue this farce anymore. Neo grabbed the rope and snapped it with a simple tug. He landed on the stage lightly. Come out. I know you are there. It's not like you can run anymore. As soon as he spoke, he felt a foreign power trying to take over his brain. His eyes grew hazy. Neo, under anomaly number 33 control, took out his sword and held it in reverse, aiming the tip at his heart. Chapter 212, Killing a Conceptual Entity. The blade pierced his skin. Just as it was about to touch his heart, Neo stopped. I'm getting tired of faking it. His eyes became clear. Sorry, but you could never control me since the beginning. Neo felt a foreign power trying to control him. You want me to kill myself? He could read the orders anomaly number 33 was giving him. After that, it was his choice to follow the orders or not. Seems like you are confused why I can resist your control, he said and returned his sword to the sheath, not intimidated in the slightest. As I said, you could never control my mind. I let you do it. The noose in Neo's hand started to disappear. He could feel the confusion of anomaly number 33 in his mind. Ow, huh. It was normal for the monster to be confused. Neo's skill was still not strong enough to resist anomaly number 33. However, he had something else. Thanks to World Core, Demigods gained resistance to elements as they grew older, both physically and mentally. Neo was physically young, but the same was not true for his mental age. He had lived for eternity. Anomaly number 33, who used mind element to control others, could not manipulate his mind unless he let himself be controlled. Neo's brows rose. He could feel the emotions of anomaly number 33. Look at you, your confidence returned as soon as you received the answer. Anomaly number 33, a phenomena-type monster, existed as the play of Hanged King's tragedy. How could one kill a play? He shook his head with a sigh. Seems like you really think you can't be killed because you are an abstract concept. Use your head. Why would I go through weeks of nonsense unless I could defeat you? Red lightning manifested around Neo. The anomaly grew agitated. It dispersed and tried to escape. Unfortunately, the black dome, coffin of darkness, proved to be an unbreakable cage. You can't even break a simple darkness-based trap. Seems like all you can do is control the minds of other people. The thick presence of death surrounding Neo swirled like a typhoon. It filled the insides of the coffin of darkness completely. The anomaly number 33 had been cornered. Since I'm in a good mood, I'll tell you why you are going to die today, Neo said, recalling Cain, who had awakened. He had purposely cornered Cain mentally to put pressure on him and help him awaken. Neo felt content, knowing Cain could now defend himself. He spoke the words he had read. Case file AZ10C, anomaly number 33 containment method is as follows. Anomaly number 33 is a phenomena type monster. It has no physical or spiritual body. It exists as a conceptual entity. Anomaly number 33 controls its target's mind and makes them act in the play Hanged King's tragedy. Neo explained. As the play progresses, anomaly number 33's presence grows concentrated around the protagonist of the play. The anomaly number 33 covers the protagonist completely when the play ends. It eats the protagonist's soul after hanging them. At the exact moment when the play ends, the presence of the anomaly number 33 reaches its peak. Neo's words were simple technical jargon he read in documents. The words were simple and to the point. They looked like a normal monster information file. Information that needed countless sacrifices before it could be completed. Neo, having lived in the apocalypse for the past weeks, could picture how many people had died and would continue to die at the hands of anomaly number 33. To defeat anomaly number 33, seal the area around the protagonists of the play as soon as he is hanged. Using an isolation space barrier is recommended. The red lightning thrashed around wildly. Neo could feel anomaly number 33's presence disappearing. After anomaly number 33 is sealed inside the barrier along with the protagonist of the play, use death element to kill everything present inside. Death element could kill everything. Physical body, soul, even abstract concepts. Mastery in element needed to be high to kill abstract concepts, of course. But it wasn't a problem for Neo, who was on the verge of reaching expert rank mastery. I didn't kill you earlier because your presence was spread throughout the city, and you could escape the city too if you were in danger. But now you are trapped with me. The red lightning suddenly returned to Neo's body. For a moment, nothing happened. Like the calm before the storm. Then, the presence of death erupted from Neo, dozens of times stronger than before, and everything within the coffin of darkness was erased. Outside coffin of darkness. Ugh. He could have held back, Cain groaned. Find adventures at mvlenovelfire.net. His forehead was swollen due to Neo's flick. He stood up and noticed the citizens were writhing on the ground. This must be Neo's doing. A smile was about to appear on Cain's face when suddenly he sensed something. He snapped his head towards the south side. Having my senses strengthened because I awakened feels weird. It's like I can see through the walls, taste food that is kept far from me, hear ants walking on the ground. Cain looked at his arms. The influx of information did not overpower his brain. He felt comfortable, as if he was a fish who had finally returned to the water. The statue monsters have returned. Cain could tell the identity of the monsters who appeared within his range. He took a look at the coffin of darkness and rushed towards the approaching statue monsters. I can't let them disturb Neo. A few seconds later, Cain learned a lesson. Newly awakened awakeners were not superior to humans in terms of physical strength by a large margin. He was breathing heavily by the time he encountered the first statue monster. Only one. Dozens of statue monsters appeared around Cain, forcing him to clamp his mouth shut. Over the building, hiding behind cars, standing next to trees. The statue monsters were everywhere. I'll be damned. Cain smiled grimly. He was feeling weak due to not having eaten anything for the past few days. The sprint earlier only made it worse. You saw my face. I'll kill you. The statue monster nearest to him pounced. It moved so fast that its body blurred. The monster was suddenly before Cain, its claw heading towards his throat. Only a single thought occupied Cain's head while he faced imminent death. I need to stop these monsters here. The world lost its color, becoming monochrome. Everything started to move in slow motion. Cain saw a red line connecting the tip of his sword to the monster's neck. He followed the line. His body moved instinctively, as if he had practiced the move hundreds of times. He ducked under the monster's attack and jumped lightly, before slashing towards its neck. The monster's head fell off, separated from its neck. Uff. Cain fell to his knees. The world became colorful again, and everything returned to its normal pace. Before he could stand, another monster kicked his abdomen. He was flung away. Cough. Cain puked blood. He could see dozens of monsters rushing at him. They had no intention of giving him a break. What was that? It felt like time slowed, and I could see the sword path to defeat the monster with a single slash. Is that my trait? Cain jumped to his feet and raised his sword to block the incoming attack. Although he blocked successfully, he was thrown away again. He was too weak physically to face the monsters. I need to use my trait again. The awakeners I met in the past said using traits is like breathing. He rolled on the ground to dodge the attacks. Each bone in his body cried from pain, but Cain did not stop. He had to buy as much time as possible. Focus. The world lost its color and slowed, only for everything to turn normal the next second. His trait was activating and deactivating randomly. I have to do it. A monster stomped its foot towards Cain's head. Just as the attack connected, the world lost its color. In the monster's eyes, one moment it was about to kill Cain, next moment something flashed, and in the next, its leg was chopped into hundreds of pieces. The monster fell, having lost its leg, when Cain's sword flashed again and its body was split into two. Blurg. Cain tried to stop his trembling and stood with the support of his sword. He was bleeding too much. His eyes, however, were calm. He exhaled, gritting his teeth. He forced his broken body to move through pure will and pointed his sword at the monsters. Come, you naked bastards. I won't let you take a step towards Neo. The monsters rushed towards Cain, and he clashed with them. Inside coffin of darkness. Neo stared at the burnt rope on the ground. So you survived by manifesting a physical body. The rope wriggled, as if it couldn't contain its happiness and smugness. Everything around him was erased. Only he and the burnt rope remained. I guess being able to control others didn't make you smarter. Why did you think I went out of my way to talk to you earlier? I wanted you to fight back and do anything in order to survive. The anomaly number 33 realized something was wrong. It tried to return to its conceptual form, but Neo grabbed it before it could escape. A starry glow covered his hand. A smile appeared on Neo's face. Finally, I can defeat it now. Neo had been bluffing until now. He couldn't kill abstract concepts. Apprentice rank mastery of death allowed one to kill physical entities. Adept rank mastery of death allowed one to kill soul entities. One had to have expert rank mastery to kill a conceptual entity. Neo had nearly reached expert mastery. However, it didn't change the fact he had not reached expert mastery. Thank you for turning into a physical entity. I can defeat you now since I can use my blessing on you. And I'll be able to gain a new ability. He held the rope tightly and used the second stage of his blessing. Judgment. Chapter 213. Memories of Anomaly Number 33. Memories of Anomaly Number 33 rushed into Neo's mind. I'm sorry, Mom. I won't do it again. The child cried. His mom continued to spank him. You almost died. She increased the force behind her hits. What would you've done if the monster noticed you? But it was going to destroy the bookstore. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. Tears slipped down his face as he rubbed his behind after the beating. It hurts. While the kid was busy soothing his injury, the woman wiped her own tears. Her arms were trembling even now. If they had been unlucky, she would have lost her child. The thoughts of the earlier situation sent shivers down her spine. I'm sorry, Mom. I won't do it again. The child approached her gloomily, hugging her to help her calm down. She bit her lips and patted his head. Let's sleep now. The mother-son duo slept on the first floor of the broken bookstore. The place was in complete ruins. But they had no proper place to sleep. Their previous base had been destroyed a week ago, and the survivors were scattered as they tried to escape the monsters. While the woman was about to sleep, she noticed her son reading a book. Are you reading that book again? The child turned to her. No, this one is different. I found it in the bookstore's wreckage. The child flipped through the book. Hanged King's Tragedy. In a few seconds and closed it. You've completed it? The woman asked. Yup, my trait is only useful for things like this. The child gave a bitter smile. Traits were the most important aspect of an awakener. He had awakened an F-rank trait, and his mother was unawakened. It's a good trait. If I had a good trait, we wouldn't have been used as bait by the base leader to escape the monsters. The child stopped speaking when he noticed his mother was crying because of his joke. Before he could say anything, she turned around and closed her eyes, unwilling to talk anymore. The child sighed. He took out another book, one that was his favorite and the reason he started to love reading. What's so good about that book? The woman suddenly spoke without turning back to him. It's written by the myth of wisdom. The child scratched his cheek. He had a lot more good points about the book. But he doubted his mother would understand. The B-rank awakener Athena? She asked. Yeah, she was an author before the apocalypse hit decades ago. Failed author, though. Her only famous book is this one. Son of Zeus, the Lightning Thief. The child became excited as he talked about his favorite book. Oh, right? The book is not based on the myth of invincibility. The Zeus in the book is from mythology of. He stopped speaking when he realized she had fallen asleep. The child raised his body and stared at the back of his mother. His gaze moved towards her shoulder. She was missing an arm. She had cut her own arm and used it as bait to save him during the day when the monster almost caught him. The scent of the blood was the only reason he was alive. He could still picture the scene in his mind. She had taken a gamble. The monster could have chased her or gone after the arm, both covered in the scent of blood. I'm sorry. He bit his lips to stop himself from crying. Throughout the day, none of them had spoken about her missing arm. It was a tacit understanding. The woman didn't want her child to blame himself for it, and the child was too stunned to talk about it. I'm sorry. He closed his eyes and slept. A few minutes later, a warm hand patted him and his mother sung him a lullaby. It's not your fault. You are not even 8, she whispered and kissed him on the forehead. Exhaustion took over the boy, and he fell asleep. The next few weeks were hellish. The mother-son duo lived their life on the edge, searching for food, hiding from monsters. They were no longer tormented by the people because they were weak, but it didn't make life easier. Things changed when they encountered another survivor base. What should we do? The child questioned. If that place is anything like our last base, I don't want to go there. The woman stared at the child instead of looking at the gates. Even though she looked unfamished due to the past weeks, her attention was focused on the child's injuries. Bloody cuts, sunken cheeks, deep dark circles. Life in a survivor's base might not be easy, however, it would be safer. For her child at least. She made her decision and approached the city gates. The procedure to enter the place was surprisingly easy. Ma'am, our city ours welcomes survivors without any bias. Our leader's goal is to create a haven for everyone, said the man who had opened the gates. Your leader must be a good person, the woman said, her words empty praise. I know. I'm just too good. The man laughed and flashed a grin. The woman and her son stared at the man, confused. Discover more content at M.B.L. Novelfire.net. He scratched the back of his neck when he realized they didn't understand his joke. I'm the city leader. I was praising myself too. You know, make a joke. Watching their unamused stare, the man's face turned red from shame. It was a stark contrast to his rugged, bearded appearance. A chuckle escaped the woman's lips and the child started to laugh. Life was indeed good in our city. The child and the mother were not treated badly for being weak. In fact, quite a few normal humans lived in our city. There was no mandatory prescription. No using non-awakened as bait. Good night, the city leader said and kissed the child on the forehead before tucking him in the bed. Have sweet dreams. The man turned around to leave the room. Just as he was about to step outside, the child called out to him. Hey. Yeah. Why aren't you speaking, scared of sleeping alone? The man teased him. Our dear Minos. The walls are thin. It's hard to sleep when you come home at night and make noises. The man and child stared at each other for a few seconds. The first to break the stare was the man. He coughed. We'll keep it quiet. The man closed the door and left. The child sighed. He hadn't spoken of the issue to his mother. She would ask him where he learned about these things, and he didn't want to embarrass his mother by telling her he could hear her and her best friend working hard at night. The man. He could get kicked in the balls and the child wouldn't spare him a glance. Unable to sleep at night, the child took out a book and started to read it. Time passed. The days spent in Ars were fulfilling. The man had proposed to his mother and they were officially dating. Everything was good until the expedition. The man and his friends left the city to make a safe passage connecting Ars City Base and Oron City Base. I'll be back in a few weeks. The man had left with a cheerful smile. The passage of time turned out to be extremely slow. Days that used to pass quickly refused to end. The woman prayed day and night for the man's safety. They returned a week later than the scheduled time. The man didn't return. Only his corpse came back. It was a common occurrence in the world torn apart by the apocalypse. The city and the citizens mourned. But everything returned to normal after a few days and a new city leader was elected. The woman, however, changed. She refused to eat or leave the graveyard where the man was buried. The child continued to bring food to her every day after his work and before his work. He didn't say anything. He didn't tell her to stop or return. She needs time. I'm sure she will accept his death. The melancholic days continued. The child kept bringing her meals. But everything changed on the day when he noticed his mother hugging someone in tears. You're back. You're back. She muttered gibberish as an ethereal glow covered herself and the man. The boy was shocked. He couldn't believe his eyes. The man. He was the previous leader of the city and his mom's dead boyfriend. His mom revived him. It took the child days to come to terms with the situation. His mother had awakened. Her trait was extraordinary. S-rank trait, Lifebringer. You'll become a myth with your trait. Our family member is going to become famous. Stop, it's embarrassing. The man and woman snuggled in each other's arms as they sat on the sofa. The city had been plunged into a festive atmosphere. The appearance of an S-rank trait was a cause for celebration. Myths were defenders of humanity. The woman, who had the potential to become a myth, was a light for the people who were lost in the dark times of the apocalypse. She had become a symbol of hope. But, hey, you fucking mute. I told you to bring me something that can be used as a weakness of your mother. What the fuck do you mean you won't do it? Another man, who had become the city leader after the previous city leader died, shouted. The new city leader had lost his position when the dead city leader, now the child's father, was revived, and the citizens happily elected the revived man as the city leader. Should I tell everyone that your mother is a whore? Hell, she is a monster. The man hit the child. She isn't a monster. Ha ha ha, what do you mean she isn't a monster? Dead don't stand again, kid. Only a necromancer can bring the dead to life. I bet your mother is the myth of walking corpses. That man, Niles Radcliffe, said he would return before he was sealed. Your mother must be his reincarnation. The child shuddered. There was no one who did not know about the necromancer. My mom isn't a monster. The child shouted in anger. He tried to hit the man, but the man dodged easily. Bucking runt, don't try to fight back. Or did you forget about the photos? The man grinned and revealed pictures to the child. The naked picture of his mother. A surge of anger rose from the depths of the child's heart. Chapter 214, Gaining a New Ability. Just as he tried to attack the man used his power. An unknown power wrapped around the child's mind. He couldn't control his body anymore. Ha ha ha. I have the power to control anyone. What do you think you can do against me? The man kicked the child in the chin. He grinned savagely. Truth be told, his mind control ability was weak. He could only insert suggestions into the minds of others. It was why he had only been able to get the mother's picture. He hadn't actually done her any harm. Though, the child didn't need to know about this. The child was smart. Smarter than his age. He would consider the worst-case scenario, seeing his mother's picture. It was how the man could blackmail the child. "I'll kill you if you don't bring me evidence next time," the man shouted, and then threw the child out of the house. The child landed on the snow piled outside. He stayed there, staring at the ground. "The cold," the child muttered as he stared at the sky. He knew the man was using false evidence to blackmail him. But there was a reason why the child hadn't reported the man to his parents. He and his friends have too much negative karma. They'll kill mom and dad if they feel their lives are in danger. The child's trait had evolved over the years. From reading books, now he could read people. To be precise, he could read their accumulated negative karma. He could see the crimes they'd committed. The man and his friends killed the previous city leader, now the child's father, when they went on an expedition together. The child knew this as he read the new negative karma they accumulated when they returned after committing the murder. Those people are dangerous. As days passed, the child became torn between choices. Should he keep quiet? Or should he tell his parents that the man and his friends wanted to snatch the control of the city from them? When spring arrived, rumors started to circulate in the city. The child's mother was a witch. As if it was a cue, more rumors started to rise. The child's mother enjoyed harming people and healing them. The child's father forced himself on unmarried women. The city was in an uproar. His parents tried to prove their innocence, but it was useless. After all, one person could lie. 10 people could lie. But 100? Would 100 people lie about being harmed by the child's parents? The child realized what was happening. It's the man's ability. He is making people believe they were hurt by my parents by inserting suggestions in their minds. The child told his parents about it. However, "I know it's tough, sweetie, but you shouldn't blame innocence. Uncle Sam's trait can only affect monsters, not humans," the child's mother said. "She is right. I've been with Sam since he awakened, and I know how his trait works. He can't control humans," the child's father told him. The child tried to tell them they were wrong. Continue your journey with MVL Novelfire.net. It was useless. The rumors continued to rise. The pressure and abuse from the citizens affected the child's parents greatly. Until cough. Cough. The child started to puke blood at the dinner table. "John. Are you okay? John. I'll bring the doctors. Lay him on the bed." The child didn't remember much. The pain had muddled his mind. Surprisingly, he woke up completely refreshed the next day. He asked his parents what happened yesterday. "Nothing, sweetie. You just ate bad food. Don't worry though. The doctor healed you perfectly." The child nodded and left. "So I was poisoned, and I died," the child thought as he sat on his bed. "Mom must have revived me." The child wondered if his mother's trait had a drawback. He was lost in his thoughts. "I'll ask her tonight." He ran downstairs when it was time for dinner. And the child's body stiffened. Mom. Dad. 2 bodies. Tied to a rope. Hung by the ceiling fan. This isn't funny. What are you two doing? The child walked towards their corpses with slow steps. Just then, the child heard a snort. He turned around and noticed the man, Uncle Sam, laughing as he sat on the sofa. The man was reading a letter. "Ahaha, this is nuts. I planned this, but holy shit. I didn't expect them to agree to the allegations." The man raised his head and met the child's gaze. He grinned and threw him the letter. "This is your parents' will. They accepted the blame for all the rumors. To appease the anger of citizens, they killed themselves. Their last plea was to let you, their child, live and not blame you for their crimes since you are innocent." The man laughed heartily. "Seems like poisoning you pushed them beyond what they could handle. They started to worry you would be harmed, and they killed themselves to save you. Damn, that's one tough luck." The child continued to cry. However, he didn't look at the corpses of his parents or the will they left behind. He was staring at the man's karma. "Finally, the city is mine. Hell yeah. I'm the king." The man had gained karma of killing 2 citizens. He inserted the suggestion of suicide in their minds. The child stood up. He stepped toward the man. Neil woke up. He touched his cheek and noticed tears streaming down his face. He could feel the pain and loss of the child, of anomaly number 33. He wiped his tears. The level of immersion was too high. This must be the result of my increasing synchronization with the blessing. He looked at the rope in his hands. Anomaly number 33 was no longer trying to escape. It had also seen its life while Neo was using his blessing, and it was now lost in nostalgia. You must have gained the ability to manipulate people after you died and became a monster. Neo didn't know how it gained the ability. Was it a simple mutation? Or was it the child's grudge against the man that led him to gain a similar ability? What Neo did know was, you've been killing only those people who had a lot of negative karma. Anomaly number 33 never killed an innocent. All of those it had murdered were heinous criminals. A small smile, slightly bitter, appeared on Neo's visage. Did you think I was a criminal too because of the huge amount of negative karma of mine? Anomaly number 33 nodded. After having awakened its memories thanks to Neo, it was willing to converse. It didn't move, but its thoughts confirmed Neo's words. My negative karma isn't my own. Technically, at least. I gained it when I killed and devoured others with darkness. The negative karma of any person or monster Neo devoured was transferred to him. Anomaly number 33 was surprised. It didn't know something like this was possible. The monster became anxious. Don't worry. I doubt you killed anyone innocent. People like me, who can use darkness and maintain sanity, are rare. If there was someone like me, they would be quite strong and wouldn't be defeated by you. So the people you killed before me were all criminals and the negative karma they had was their own. Anomaly number 33 relaxed after hearing his words. I had been thinking it targeted me instead of Cain because I was unlucky. Turns out there was a reason, Neo thought. Anomaly number 33 hated criminals. Even though it lost its memories after becoming a monster, its hate remained. Anomaly number 33 protected the city because its parents met in this place, and it killed all those who tried to harm the city. The more Neo thought, the more he realized he had been wrong about the monster. However, Julian Theodore, just because you killed only criminals doesn't mean you are innocent. You are a sinner too. Neo had no other choice. He wanted to let anomaly number 33 go. However, he lost the chance after he used judgment. You will be punished for your crimes. Once the blessing was activated, the judgment must be passed. Neo bit his lips when he saw anomaly number 33 waiting in his hands. It was content and waiting for its death. Peacefully. I, Neo Hargraves, sentence you to 10 years of imprisonment in the second layer of hell. Chains erupted from the ground and bound the existence of anomaly number 33. They pulled it into the ground. Just before anomaly number 33 was taken away, Neo heard a voice inside his head. Thank you. Neo closed his eyes. Fuck, why are you thanking me? He could sense anomaly number 33 appearing on the second layer of hell within himself. His soul went under qualitative change. Plus mind invasion. Neo looked at the screen which described his new ability. A bitter taste appeared in his mouth. Impartial death. Those who had sinned must be punished. Neo had to follow the rules even if he hated it. He had to. Fuck, I feel like shit. Fracture mirror, second layer of Neo's hell. In a world made of broken mirrors, a child appeared. He looked around, staring at the surroundings in fascination. Everything was made of mirrors. Even the sky and the ground. The child walked around the place when suddenly the mirror next to him changed. The mirror's surface rippled. It showed the scene where the child was tucked into bed. His mother lay on his left, and his father was on his right. What does our dear Julius think? Sweetie, you love mom more, right? Nope, he loves his handsome dad more. The child stared at the memory playing within the mirror. When the scene ended, the child turned around. The mirrors. They were showing it the happy times it had lived with its family. A smile appeared on the child's face. It looked above at the sky, knowing Neo was staring at it. You are too kind, the child said teasingly. The judgment it had been delivered was cruel. Nevertheless, it was the child's salvation. Chapter 215, New Trait and New Quest. Neo confirmed his new ability. Mind invasion. I get what it does, but is this a spell or an incantation? Incantation and spells, even elemental manipulation, had different working mechanisms. The new ability he gained didn't follow any of those mechanisms. He could use it without going through the hassle of manipulating elements, creating magic spells, or commanding elementals. This is almost like a skill. It's like I gained a trait. Alert. User Neo Hargraves has formed a link with Julius Theodore's seed of existence mutated. User Neo Hargraves has gained a portion of Julius Theodore's seed of existence mutated, temporarily. User Neo Hargraves can now use trait Mind Invasion. Please note, user Neo Hargraves will lose trait Mind Invasion when the link breaks. Neo was surprised to see the rows of screens before his eyes. I see, so Mind Invasion is a mutated version of Julius' original trait. He was amazed, knowing his hell allowed him to gain traits. Just as he thought that, his core churned. A portion of divine energy from his core started to flow into the hell within his soul. The divine energy was being used to accommodate a new sinner into the hell. Neo winced when he noticed the amount of divine energy reserve he had lost. Of course, it wasn't that easy. Seems like the hell needs more divine energy every time I throw another sinner into it. He shook his head. Divine energy wasn't a problem to him, thanks to his absurdly huge reserves. Though, inside the shadow world where he had no way of recovering divine energy, it was troublesome. Alert! Time until user Neo Hargraves loses trait Mind Invasion: 9 years, 11 months, 30 days, 23 hours, 58 minutes, 12 seconds. Ding. Quest: find a way to inherit trait Mind Invasion permanently. Reward: Seed of Existence link locks X3. Accept/refuse. Neo's brows rose when he saw the quest. The rewards are good. Every person had a seed of existence within them. A person awakened their trait when their seed of existence germinated. Even if I can gain the trait of someone else, I will still need to level it up. I have my own unique skill, elements, spells, and incantations to master. Adding training for another trait will just result in dividing my focus. The problem was headache-inducing. Thankfully, the quest reward would help him out of it. Quest accepted. As soon as he made the decision, more screens appeared. It has been detected user Neo Hargraves has 2 seeds of existence. Current Akashic record interface of user Neo Hargraves has been deemed insufficient. Requesting permission from mainframe to upgrade user Neo Hargraves' Akashic record interface. The screen changed to a loading screensaver wallpaper. 1 seed of existence should be mine, and the other one is the portion I gained from Julius. Neo had a hard time believing what was happening. Gaining traits was nearly impossible when using darkness. One had to have very high mastery in darkness and equally high luck. With Neo's luck, he never thought he could gain a trait. But the hell solved his problem easily. Mainframe has granted permission. Requesting permission from user Neo Hargraves to upgrade his Akashic record interface. Accept/deny. Neo stared at the buttons on the screen. There was no reason for him to refuse. He had always planned to find a way to upgrade his system interface, knowing it was useful. Discover hidden content at M.B.L. Novelfire.net. He never expected to gain the opportunity for an upgrade so early. Accept it. Time remaining until upgrade is completed: 6 months. 6 months. It is supposed to take only a few seconds. He frowned. I remember Sphinx saying my records don't exist in Akashic record. Is this related to it? Although he was curious, there was no way for him to know the answer. Neo shook his head. He decided to focus on the issue at hand. Just when he was about to remove the coffin of darkness, he sensed someone behind him. He turned around with a snap. How did someone enter the coffin of darkness without alerting me? His thoughts froze. Well, you saw my face. I'll kill you. The statue monsters were entering the coffin of darkness. Ow. Every monster is afraid of darkness, even anomaly number 33 was. How can these monsters enter the coffin of darkness so easily? What happened to Cain? He was about to rush outside to look for Cain when suddenly Neo noticed something peculiar. There was no statue monster outside the coffin of darkness. If there is no monster outside, where did these come from? He sensed more statue monsters appearing behind him. Turning around, he saw 3 more statue monsters within the coffin of darkness. Neo noticed another detail at the moment. Every statue monster that appeared within the coffin of darkness came inside when he was not looking at them. I see. His brows furrowed when he realized what was happening. These monsters aren't entering the coffin of darkness. They are teleporting inside. Seems like they are capable of teleporting near their targets as long as it's outside their field of vision. Neo knew his deduction was wrong. He didn't sense any space elementals around him. It was clear the monsters were not teleporting inside the coffin of darkness. He used the word teleportation because it was the closest term to describe their ability, even if it wasn't entirely accurate. These monsters are worse than I thought them to be, Neo said as he twisted his neck to dodge the incoming attack. Before the monster could attack again, his lips parted. Die. The statue monsters fell to the ground, dead. They were growing in numbers and strength every time they came to kill him. Still, they were nowhere near his current level. Neo removed the coffin of darkness after killing the monsters. A figure, Cain, flew past his eyes and crashed into the building next to him. At that moment, dozens of statue monsters jumped down from the buildings, aiming at Cain. The citizens were about to raise their heads and look at the monsters when suddenly Cain shouted, "Don't look up." Cain walked out of the building. A powerful aura erupted from Cain. It forced the citizens to their knees and stopped them from looking at the statue monsters' faces. Cain wiped the blood flowing out of his temple and took a sword stance. He grabbed the hilt of the sheathed sword. The monsters ignored the citizens and attacked Cain. Third stance minus. Cain's figure blurred. A split second later, he appeared behind the group of monsters and returned the sword to the sheath. Ryunomai. Slash marks appeared on the bodies of the statue monsters. They fell apart, their bodies sliced into hundreds of pieces. Neo stood on the side, stunned. Others might not have been able to see it, but he could. Cain had moved at unimaginable speed and killed each monster with physical attacks. His attacks weren't flashy, nor did they use sophisticated incantations or powerful spells. They were a simple display of speed and technique. What the fuck? Neo had trouble believing his eyes. He awakened just minutes ago. How is he already this powerful? Cain turned to Neo. He had tired eyes. His limbs were trembling from having been pushed beyond their limits, and he was bleeding from multiple injuries over his body. Still. Neo, I made sure those monsters didn't disturb you. Cain was smiling. He fell, too exhausted to stand anymore. Neo appeared next to him and held him. Thank you. Ha ha ha. Cain laughed weakly. Neo didn't tell him the statue monsters had teleported to attack him. There was no need to dampen Cain's mood. Neo and Cain both sensed more monsters entering the city. Cain tried to stand, but Neo stopped him. You should rest. And no, there are more monsters left. I've dealt with them already. Cain's eyes widened. He expanded his senses again and noticed the monsters who had just entered the city were not breathing anymore. You dealt with them from here. I didn't even sense you attack, Cain said with a smile. His admiration for Neo increased after Cain awakened. Before, being a non-awakened, he didn't understand how powerful Neo was or the extent of his abilities, but now, having awakened, Cain could see how monstrous Neo was. He didn't doubt Neo was on par with the myths of the Awakener Association. Neo, on the other hand, was equally surprised. He can sense the city walls from here. It seemed Cain was a monstrous genius. Chelva, Spain, Memory Shadow World. A ghastly howl echoed in the night. Run. It's the necromancer. The necromancer has returned. The survivors were running without looking back. Even the awakeners, who were supposed to be the last line of defense, were no different. Far behind them, a sea of bones was encroaching on the city. The bones devoured everything in their path, be it the city, the corpses, or the humans. Kayseri, Turkey, Memory Shadow World. The red-haired, bulky man sat behind the table, deep in thought. He read the documents with furrowed brows. The door to the office swung open, and a golden-haired kid, seemingly in his late teens, entered the room. Ares. What's the meaning of this? The kid shouted. Why haven't you sent a search expedition for Neo Hargraves? Apollo minus. No, I'm not going to listen to your excuses. I gave you a sketch of Neo Hargraves and even told you he is vital in the search for the child of Mana. I received the oracle that we need him to find the child of Mana. Why haven't you minus? Apollo. Ares repeated his words again, this time with suppressed intensity. Chapter 216, Ares and Apollo. Ares' words made Apollo grit his teeth. What? Look at this. Ares threw the documents in his hands towards Apollo. Apollo caught the stack of papers and looked through them. His brows furrowed. How is this possible? Now do you understand why I'm not sending a search party for this? Neo Hargraves. Ares continued. I've sent his details to Gaia. She used them to read his fate since it would help us know more about him before we try to recruit him. But Gaia said Neo Hargraves doesn't exist. Yes, she didn't find the fate of anyone named Neo Hargraves. Apollo's lips were pressed together in a thin line. He read the documents multiple times. Their contents, however, remained the same. In the vision of the future, I saw Neo Hargraves holding the child of Mana. How can he save the child of Mana if he doesn't exist? Apollo said with uncertainty. We still don't understand how your trait works. It shows you the future, but the future can be changed if we use the information we have gained from the vision. This is just one example. Maybe this person, Neo Hargraves, is a symbol of something that will help us find the child of Mana. Ares explained. You are saying the vision was a metaphorical vision instead of a literal vision? Yes. Apollo pondered over Ares' words. He had calmed down and realized Ares' point made sense. He scratched his head. Sorry about shouting at you. I'll leave. Wait, before you leave, I have a new assignment for you. An anomaly has been defeated 3 weeks ago in Algeria. Apollo stared at Ares in shock. How? Anomaly can't be defeated, only contained or avoided. This is why we classified them as anomalies instead of normal monsters. Calm down. I don't know the complete details myself. Ares continued. One of the refugees has been saying the anomaly number 33 was slain. Anomaly number 33. That's the anomaly that controls ours. Is this information credible? I'm not sure about that. The refugee found out about the information when he was traveling through Egypt. Apollo frowned. Before he could voice his doubts, Ares added. The rumors of anomaly number 33 have spread as far as Egypt. The refugee heard the rumors on the way here. So it's not confirmed information. That's why I want you to go to ours and scout the place. If a myth capable of defeating an anomaly has appeared, we need to scout him and get him on our side before others. Fine. Apollo shrugged. Who is coming with me? Athena and Nyx. Oh, Athena and... Wait, what? Apollo was stunned. Why is Nyx being sent out on a simple mission like this? She is one of the few S-rank awakeners on our side. Send her somewhere where she is needed more. I can deal with this mission myself. Apollo. Ares sighed and removed his glasses to clean them. Someone who defeated an anomaly isn't normal. We need to take precautions. Also, the reason I'm sending Nyx is something else. Something else. Yeah. Ares sighed again. A necromancer has appeared in Spain. Apollo never thought he could be surprised so many times in one day. But it seemed he thought wrong. He opened his mouth and closed it, unable to form words. The last time a necromancer appeared, he razed Russia to the ground. We can't take risks like that again. It's best to nip the bud before it grows. Apollo had no words to retort with. Niles Radcliffe, the myth of walking corpses, the necromancer, had been defeated 17 years ago. Although Niles was strong, if Apollo fought him now, he was sure he could defeat Niles easily. Not just Apollo. All awakeners had grown in the last 17 years. The apocalypse, father of anomalies, had forced them to grow stronger. Now, awakeners as strong as Niles Radcliffe were, although not common, many. But Apollo started to tremble. He was afraid. Ares didn't say anything when he noticed Apollo's reaction. The mental scars Niles Radcliffe left behind were too deep. They might have grown stronger, but just the name of necromancer was enough to make most awakeners shake in their boots. Honestly, I wanted to send Zeus on this mission. Ares covered his mouth to divert the topic. But he is in Brazil. Apollo nodded with a subdued expression. Another sigh left Ares' lips. Normally, Apollo would have been surprised, asking what Zeus was doing in the territory of Titans. Library, Demigod Academy, True Nexus World. Crunch. The crunchy noise was low, but loud. Enough for most to hear. Mars and Arthur ignored the noise and spoke in hushed voices. You are saying Neo said he would help you get bones of old gods? Yeah, and yesterday, this weird lady found me, saying Neo had told her he would take me to somewhere we can get bones of old gods from. Can I come too? What are you two talking about? Felix stood behind the two, staring at them with an unamused stare. Crunch. I just heard you two talking about sneaking out with Neo. Aha, I think you misheard, Arthur stammered, a cold sweat flowing down his back. We were talking about Nico. The next class crystal element kid. Crunch. Felix nodded. I see. Sorry, I thought you were talking about something else. Felix turned around and left to pick some books from the shelf. After she left, a sigh of relief escaped Arthur's lips. We barely survived, Mars smiled bitterly. You said it. I don't want to hear a 3-hour lecture again. Arthur slumped. It was Neo and Jack who sneaked away. Why is she scolding us? Crunch. Don't worry. I'm going to whip those two when they return, Felix said. She returned with 3 books and sat in front of Mars and Arthur, next to Clara and Sean. Do they think Shadow World is a backside garden? They entered it with just 2 of them. The more Felix thought about it, the more irritated she became. If you are going to do something dangerous, then tell us, damn it. We'll help you. Why go alone? Crunch. Moments later, Arthur, seeing Felix was not getting angry at the mention of Shadow World, spoke up. I've been curious about something. What is it? Isn't it dangerous to let people enter Shadow Worlds? Arthur spoke, confused. I don't understand why the council hasn't put a ban to stop people from entering Shadow Worlds. Crunch. Felix frowned. Why would the council do that? Shadow World is a good way to train for those who have destructive abilities and can't use them in our world. But Arthur's words trailed. He carefully organized his thoughts and spoke. If someone ends up in a 100% Synchro Shadow World, they can end up altering the past of our world if something goes wrong. After all, any change in a 100% Synchro Shadow World affects our world. Be it past or present. What are you talking about? It doesn't matter what you do in Shadow World, it doesn't affect our world. That's why it's so useful. Arthur's brows creased when he realized Felix was serious about what she was saying. He turned to look at Mars, but he had the same expression as Felix. Chapter 217, Time Skip. System update complete. Strange. Is the information about 100% Synchro World not known to common public? I shouldn't talk about it if it's confidential information. Oh, sorry, I must be wrong. I read it in a book, but it looks like the book was fake. Don't read weird books like Clara here. While she was looking at Arthur, her hand moved swiftly, and she grabbed the book Clara was hiding below the table. Ah! Felix ignored Clara's surprised face and read the title of the book. Crunch. God of Death and Sleep, and His Battle Against the Olympian Gods. Some of the words were unintelligible. Felix read what could be read and looked up at Clara. Crunch. Clara, I'm pretty sure we are here to find out about the weaknesses of Death and Darkness element users so we can fight Neo when he returns. Why yes. Then why are you reading a novel? Crunch. Clara turned to Arthur, then Sean for help, but they avoided her gaze. They had no intention of being scolded with her. Crunch. A vein popped in Felix's neck. She could no longer ignore the crunching noise. She looked at the Morrigan, who was eating Crusties with no care in the world. Morrigan, you too. Go back if you aren't going to study. And stop eating in the library. Our city, Algeria, Memory Shadow World. Neo sat atop the city walls alone. He was looking at the sea of statue monsters rushing towards the city. Seems like the information I got from wanderers about these monsters is true. His face contorted. Fuck, why does my life keep going from shit to shitter? As if it was not bad enough, he was burning through his divine energy elixirs, and his death element mastery was decreasing. He had to worry about these monsters on top of that. Anomaly number 79, look at me not. They will ignore you as long as you don't look at their face, but once you do, they won't stop until they kill you. Neo had tried searching for where these monsters were coming from, but it was useless. In the end, he had to use divine energy elixirs to recover the divine energy he lost fighting these monsters every day. On top of that, his decreasing mastery of death had dealt a huge blow to his combat strength. The only good thing is I was able to train my spells and incantations, and this. Akashic Record Interface upgrade complete. His status screen finally updated. Let's see what changed. Status. Neo Hargraves. Rank, Grade 5 Mythic. Divine Energy Purity, Grade 2 Mythic. Stats. Strength, 186. Speed, 176. Dexterity, 171. Constitution, 198. Luck, 0. Affinity. Death, Shadow, Darkness, Void, Water, Time. Magic Spell. Necrotic Touch, Ocean's Embrace, Essence Breath, Rewind Enchantment. Incantations. O Death, be my hands, crush my enemies. O Death, become my blade. Trait. Bloodline Trait, Monarch of Death. Fragmented Trait, Mind Invasion. Quest. Complete Barbados Training, Part 1, completed 3/5. Find a way to assimilate the Mind Invasion trait, Fragmented, into yourself permanently. He ignored the sea of statue monsters, they were too far and would take a few seconds before reaching him, and focused on the status screen. Finally, I can see my masteries of my elements, spells, and incantations. Death. Mastery, Adept, Peak Sealed, Adept, lowest. Concept progress, 80%. Neo's brows creased. Looks like I can still build my concept even though my mastery of death is falling. His mastery had been reduced from the peak of Adept rank to the lowest. Any more, and he would fall back to Apprentice rank. Damn it, my mastery is decreasing just because I think impartial death is wrong. When he realized death was the final rest of the dead and they shouldn't be revived, his mastery of death had increased. Because final death was a concept imbued in Neo's bloodline. And he had become closer to the concept. But now, he was rejecting the concept of impartial death imbued in his bloodline. Since his bloodline was the foundation of his death elemental, rejecting the concepts imbued in his bloodline was harming him. Impartial death. Sinners or innocent, death should judge their life, punishing the sinners and rewarding the innocent. Personal feelings didn't matter. The judge must remain impartial. Neo knew it, but his life was shit. The punishment he had given anomaly number 33 was weighing on his mind. Was it correct to punish anomaly number 33 even though it only harmed criminals? Ahaha, look at me, using anomaly number 33 as a shield, when in truth I hate impartial death because of personal reasons. If Neo accepted impartial death, didn't it mean he would have to punish his own brother when he went berserk in the future? Not just his brother. Elizabeth, who was a tyrant. Felix, who would become an apocalypse because she had bonded with a god-slayer weapon. Jack, who was a necromancer. Accepting impartial death meant Neo would have to send each one of them to hell. Because they were sinners. Because he was supposed to be an impartial judge. Impartial death can go fuck itself. I'm not accepting it. He winced when he sensed his mastery of death decrease again. After confirming his death element mastery, he checked darkness element. Darkness. Mastery, Adept, Peak. Concept progress, 20%. My concept progress in darkness is 20%. Neo was surprised. He had not decided what kind of concept of darkness he wanted. This is weird. How is it possible to have built 20% of the concept without realizing it? I don't even know what kind of concept this is. He decided to question Barbados or Payman next time he met them. Next, he checked Shadow element. Read the latest on MVL Novelfire.net. Shadow. Awakening progress, 133rd. Neo's face scrunched up. I'm pretty sure, the awakening progress of Shadow element is supposed to be either 0 firsts when it's not awakened, and 1 first when it awakens. Why the hell do I have 133rd? One thing was clear. The reason he couldn't use his Shadow element was related to this. Water. Mastery, Apprentice, Mid. Time. Mastery, Apprentice, High. Neo was surprised to see he had mid-apprentice mastery in water and high apprentice mastery in time. He had expected to have low or mid at best. This status interface is a lot better since it shows everything in detail. Until now, I couldn't tell if I was making any progress. But this makes it clear that my efforts weren't in vain. Neo shifted his gaze. Now. Chapter 218, New Status Screen. Neo's eyes wandered to other sections in the status. The sub-ranks of mastery were lowest, low, mid, high, and peak. He was able to see them after the interface update, and it made things easier. I should check my spells and incantations too. Necrotic Touch. Element, Death. Rank, Tremor. Mastery, Apprentice, Peak. Ocean's Embrace. Element, Water. Rank, Tremor. Mastery, Apprentice, High. It's as I expected. My mastery in Ocean's Embrace is lower than Necrotic Touch. Mastery, even though I use Ocean's Embrace more. This makes it clear. Elemental mastery affects the growth of spell mastery too. Neo's mood became better when he saw his Necrotic Touch. Mastery. The terror-ranked spell he received from Barbados was about to rank up. Essence Breath. Element, None. Rank, Tremor. Mastery, Apprentice, Peak. He wanted to sigh. Essence Breath. Spell was only a bit away from ranking up. However, he couldn't use the spell inside the shadow world since there was no pure divine energy. It meant he couldn't rank up the spell unless he left the shadow world. Well, any good news is better than bad news. I should be happy the spell is near rank up. The gap between each mastery rank for spells was determined by their spell rank. A whisper ranked spell, after reaching adept mastery, would grow 20% stronger. An echo ranked spell, after reaching adept mastery, would grow 40% stronger. Similarly, a tremor ranked spell would grow 100% stronger. The increase in strength was both quantitative and qualitative. Rewind enchantment. Element, time. Rank, resonance. Mastery, apprentice, low. This is as expected, he muttered and picked a piece of rock. He crushed the rock into fine dust with ease. Moments later, a green glow covered his hand. A magic circle appeared above his palm. Neo watched with interest as the time was rewound, and dust glued back to form the rock. This simple spell took fucking 7 months, damn it. His low talent was a reason behind his slow learning speed. But there was another reason it took him months to learn a resonance-ranked spell. Time manifestation. He had learned about it in the academy from taking extra classes. There were different manifestations of time. River, sand, clock, lightning, wheel, and his caterpillar. Each manifestation had a drawback and an advantage. Someone with the river manifestation would find it easier to learn spells that sent them to the past or to the future. However, they would have difficulty in learning spells that stopped time or did something similar. After checking his spells, Neo read the details of his incantations. O death, be my hands, crush my enemies. Element, death. Harmony, peak, sealed, mid. O death, be my blade. Element, death. Harmony, peak, sealed, mid. The incantations are also affected by my elemental mastery of death. The first incantation came from the necromancer he defeated in the window, while he learned the second one for the final exam of the first semester in the academy. Peak harmony, but it's sealed. Incantations were more difficult to learn than spells. What determined the strength of an incantation were 2 factors. How much divine energy one poured into the incantation, and how much harmony one had with a certain element. Harmony could not be increased or trained. It remained fixed since birth. Since Neo was the son of Hades, great god of death, his harmony with the death element was at peak. The 5 ranks of harmony are lowest, low, mid, high, and peak. I'm now mid-harmony in both incantations. Again, Neo realized how useful the new status screen was. Bloodline trait, Monarch of Death. Death. Immortal. Eternal. Since Neo knew the details of his other unique skills, he checked only Eternal. Eternal, grade 5 mythic. Progress, 30%. Effect, become ageless and gain resistance against status ailments plus 10%. 10% resistance. Neo pursed his lips. There was something he had noticed about Eternal only a few months ago. Status ailment included everything that hurt him. Not just poison, mental corruption, and debuffs. It included physical attacks, spells, and incantations too. I seriously chose an overpowered trait. Of course, a part of him still wondered if he should have chosen the Transcendence trait, but he was satisfied with what he had. Mind Invasion, grade 5 awakened. Progress, 60%. Effect, allow you to enter the mind of your targets, look into their memories, and converse with their inner self. While Neo was going through his status screen, Cain called out to him. Neo, the anomaly number 79 is about to reach our city. Should I deal with it if you are feeling unwell? His words snapped Neo out of his thoughts. Neo shook his head. It's fine. I'll deal with it. Dark clouds rumbled in the sky. Neo's death element-infused divine energy seeped into the surroundings. Soon, red lightning crackled through the clouds, and gigantic swords descended. Your adventure continues at MVLE Novelfire.net. Cain sucked in a sharp breath. The sight sent shivers down his spine even after seeing it for months. The death element sword slammed into the ground and erupted. The earth trembled violently and a deafening roar echoed through the area. Dust and shattered stone shot into the air. Blinding red light covered the area. When the light disappeared, only 1/3 of the statue monsters were left. Neo's face hardened, and Cain's brows creased. The statue monsters had become strong after 6 months, true. However, Neo should have been able to wipe them out with his attack. My decreasing elemental mastery is starting to affect my attacks. The problem would be solved when Neo completed his concept. Until then, he was stuck with lowered performance of his death element. Neo. Cain muttered in a low voice. Should I deal with those monsters? I told you. It's fine. The shadows stretched, and the darkness hidden within them bloomed. The darkness spread far and wide, transforming into a gigantic maw, and it gulps down the remaining statue monsters. +4 vision. Neo chewed, feeling the citric taste in his mouth. They taste like pickles today. After everything ended, Neo stared at the destruction his attacks had left. Chapter 219, Dios Kingsley. Since his mastery had decreased, he couldn't control death to affect only the monsters. Some of the buildings had been pulverized. The destruction was absolute, buildings reduced to jagged rubble. Their towering silhouettes were nothing more than indistinct mounds of dust and twisted metal. Concrete walls lay cracked and splintered, and windows shattered into glittering fragments were scattered across the ground. The air was heavy with choking dust. Neo snapped his fingers, and the red lightning lingering on the wreckages rushed towards him. He began to absorb it. Death elementals couldn't be converted back into divine energy. He could, however, store the death elementals within himself. It was similar to storing petrol inside tank. Currently, 3 red rings made of highly compressed death elementals were surrounding Neo's heart. For the past 6 months, he absorbed all death elementals he used after the battle ended. He needed to do that, since he did not have a way to recover divine energy inside the shadow world. After absorbing everything, he jumped down from the wall and landed outside the city. Cain, confused, followed behind. "Where are we going?" "Just come with me." A few minutes later, Neo and Cain stood in an empty area. "You've been training for the past months," Neo suddenly said, startling Cain. "Yeah. How strong do you think you've become?" "Pretty strong, I guess." "Why are you asking this?" "Let's fight. I want to see how your trait works, and it will help you train too." Cain's smiling face stiffened. He unconsciously took a few steps back. "No," he spoke firmly. "I don't like to get beaten one-sidedly." Neo rolled his eyes. "Stop being a drama queen. You are nearing my level already. I'm sure you know it too." Neo didn't say the thought out loud. Someone who had awakened only 6 months ago was almost as strong as him. Funnily enough, knowing Cain's talent made Neo excited. It gave Neo a target to surpass. Surpassing a genius. I wonder how that would feel. He smiled. Since the day he decided to become the strongest, Neo was prepared to fight geniuses who were hailed as once-in-a-century talents. They were a wall on his path that Neo was determined to conquer. Looking at Cain's anxious expression, Neo shook his head. "I think he is as talented as Jack. Maybe slightly less, but near his level." It was a big praise, coming from Neo. Jack, when he entered the academy, was quite weak, yet he was now as strong as the students in the top 25. A necromancer thrives on the death and despair of others. Jack could grow that strong without having anything that could help him grow as a necromancer. If Jack had access to the underworld like me, he would have had a chance at surpassing Morrigan. The shadow world was an opportunity for Jack. He could fight monsters and kill criminals in the apocalypse without anyone judging him. The deaths and massacres would help him increase his death and darkness element mastery. I just hope he doesn't get overwhelmed by darkness. Talent was important. But without willpower, it was impossible to train the darkness element. "Come on. Start already." "Fine." Cain unsheathed his sword at Neo's urging. Today was the first time they were going to fight. He was afraid and excited. "Neo, I know this sounds pompous, but..." Cain gulped. "Don't let your guard down. Or you will die." "Got it." Cain raised the sword above his head. 7th stance. Cain took a deep breath and exhaled. 10 Horizon. His sword flashed in a downward motion, landing straight on Neo's shoulder. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Memory Shadow World. Dios Kingsley, Zeus, sat languidly at the beach. His eyes were fixed on the horizon. "How much time until the contact?" 2 weeks according to our estimates, the man standing behind him answered. Zeus nodded. His lips parted, and he spoke. "He is quite an unlucky fellow. Trying to escape his country by using a ship only to awaken in the middle of the ocean. Indeed, the man's trait made him gigantically large. It saved his life and made him large enough to walk through the ocean, but human brain isn't made to sustain a body of such large humans." The man sighed. The giant would reach Rio in a few weeks. Zeus had come to meet him. Or so was Zeus' official reason. But the man knew why Zeus was here, in Rio, in Titan's territory. Just then, the man's device rang. He opened it and read the message. His brows creased. "What is it?" Zeus questioned. "It's Apollo's message. He is moving out on a mission with Athena and Nyx." Zeus nodded. Where are they going? Algeria. I guess we can meet them if everything follow the schedule. Zeus pursed his lips and probed, trying to look casual. What happened to the guy Apollo was searching for? I think he said the guy he saw in his visions was needed to locate the child of Mana. Ah, Neo Hargraves. Ares has suspended the search mission for him. Apparently, there is no person named Neo Hargraves. Gaia said she couldn't find the fate of anyone named Neo Hargraves. I see. He grew silent. His gaze returned to the horizon. The words of the bastard Aides Hargraves, the husband of his sister, echoed in his mind. We will meet again, Dios. Normally, Zeus would have thought Aides was spouting bullshit at his death's doorstep. But the apocalypse made things difficult. Aides will return. Zeus was sure of it. I thought Neo Hargraves was related to Aides since their surname was the same, but I guess I was looking too much into it. Just having a matching surname didn't make them related. Zeus had been grasping at straws. But, with Gaia's confirmation of Neo Hargraves in existence, the straw disappeared. Ars, Algeria, Memory Shadow World. I'm sorry. Cain spoke as he stood beside Neo's bed. His eyes were red from having cried too much, and he clutched the edge of his clothes with trembling hands. Don't stand there like that, old man. It looks weird. Neo smiled. It only made Cain's expression worsen. He stared at the stump at Neo's shoulder. His hand was missing. Cain had cut it. He used his strongest attack, believing Neo could block or dodge easily. Instead, Neo stood motionless. He took the attack with his bare body. Why? Cain wanted to know. Why didn't you dodge? Neo knew what he was thinking. I finally know how his trait works, Neo thought. Losing a hand was nothing big for him. He could regrow it easily when he revived himself. I can't believe his trait was something so simple. I used to think it was something overpowered. I couldn't have been more wrong. Neo didn't dodge because he was too busy analyzing Cain's attack. He had been doing the same for the past few months, and today he could comprehend it finally when he took the attack with his bare body. Incantations. He is using incantations. The realization sent Neo to the moon. He could learn Cain's sword technique. Until now, he thought it was his trait, but it turns out Cain was using incantations unconsciously. Chapter 220, The Author. Author note, I've noticed the autocorrect has been changing the rank of spells to terror. To avoid confusion, I'll say it here. The highest rank of spell is tremor, there is no terror rank. It is a typo. Neo. Cain's nails dug into his palm, drawing blood. The guilt weighed heavily upon him. Neo clicked his tongue. Fine. How about this? If you are feeling guilty, teach me your sword techniques. But it's my trait. You are wrong. Your trait allows you to put your intent into pure divine energy. The techniques are your own. If I can learn the technique to put my intent into divine energy, I can use your techniques too. It was easier said than done, of course. Putting intent into divine energy was the next form of aura attacks after aura blades. Neo knew it was not going to be easy. After all, creating the concept of elements was done by fusing one's intent into their core. This was needed to reach expert mastery in any element. Now, he had to do something similar. Fuse his intent into pure divine energy. I will help you if I can, but how? Cain questioned. It's similar to incantations, Neo answered. Do you know how incantations work? Cain shook his head. It was expected. Right now, incantations were just a budding technique. They had been created decades ago, but there was not much information about them. Incantation is, simply put, asking the elementals to help us. The elementals are alive. Cain frowned. Maybe they are, maybe not. Neo turned his head and stared at the ceiling. Are robots alive? No. Cain didn't understand what Neo was trying to explain, but he listened. Everyone knew Neo's capabilities. Not only was he strong, but he was smart too. Cain still found it absurd a child like Neo could handle the city's administration all alone without breaking a sweat at that. If he is explaining this to me, then it must be important, thought Cain. So robots aren't alive according to you. What about humans? They are alive. How can you tell that? Well, we eat, move, breathe. A robot can be programmed to do that too. Cain became silent after listening to Neo's words. Elementals are similar. They are alive, but not at the same time. Neo continued to explain. When we use incantations, we are essentially saying, Dear Elemental, I need you to do this. Please listen to me and help me. There was more nuance behind it, of course. One had to put their intent into their words to communicate with the elementals. The elementals didn't understand the human tongue, after all. I see. Neo didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Cain's dazed expression. I bet you didn't even realize you were calling out the names of your techniques because they are incantations. Cain's expression stiffened, and he looked away. I've been curious about this. Since you didn't know you were using incantations, why did you call out the names of your attacks? I couldn't hear it. Neo had, of course, heard it. He just wanted to tease Cain and lighten the mood. I'm an anime fan. It felt natural to call out the technique names. The noise of stifled laughter came from the other side of the door. Neo and Cain stared at the entrance of the room. They couldn't sense anyone outside. But the noise made it clear someone was there. Stop hiding, Neo said. There was no movement. I see. Maybe you want me to visit your dreams at night since you are doing this. No, don't do that again. The door was slammed open, and 3 people almost fell inside. Callista, the woman with the lie detection trait. Alexander, the city defense team leader. Edmund, the city police head and the one who was responsible for erasing their presence earlier. You won't do that again, right? Callista grabbed Neo's hand, her face red from shame and her eyes on the verge of tears. Cain would have normally laughed, but his face was burning from shame too. Alexander and Edmund made no intention of hiding their smirks as they stared at him. An ominous premonition crept into Cain's heart when he saw Alexander's smug expression. No, please no, Cain said. It's all right. Alexander grinned and gave him a thumbs up. I'll make sure everyone knows about this by tomorrow. Your fan club especially. Cain's face became a sight to behold. Neo smiled when he watched their antics. Even though they tried to hide it, he could see their puffy eyes and tear-stained faces. They'd been worried to death when Neo came bloodied with his arm missing. Edmund had nearly put a bullet into Cain's head. They only stopped after Neo forcefully intervened. The atmosphere in the room became normal after a few minutes. The 4 joked and talked. Neo was exasperated since they were treating him like an old man on his deathbed. Just then, Liliana appeared at the door and knocked. Come inside, Neo said. Alexander frowned when he saw his sister. She never appeared before Neo, too bashful, unless it was something serious. A letter from the Awakeners Association has come, Liliana said. She passed the letter to Callista, who tore it open and read it. Callista's face contorted. What is it? Neo questioned, despite having an idea. It took them 6 months. They were quite late. The Awakener Association wants to meet you. They've heard about your exploits and are sending myths to congratulate you. I see. Callista wasn't finished. She continued, your journey continues at MVLE Novelfire.net. Awakener Apollo, Athena, and Nyx will be reaching our city in a few days. Neo nodded. While outwardly calm, his thoughts churned at high speed. Athena. Anomaly number 33's memory showed me that the novel, Son of Zeus, the Lightning Thief, was written by her. She is the author of the novel that gave me all the information about the future. Bloody bastards. Callista's voice snapped Neo out of his thoughts. They didn't help us while we were suffering, and they come now to form a connection with the mayor because he is strong. She knew, everyone knew, Anomaly number 33 had been helping them. But the same wasn't true for the Awakener Association. In their eyes, the citizens of Ars were being tortured under the monster's regime. Yet they never helped, leaving the city to its own devices. Cain, Alexander, Edmund, and the ever-positive Liliana felt the same. They had grave expressions. The day passed without much incident after the letter's arrival. The statue monsters attacked again at night. Neo wanted to deal with them. But Cain and others weren't having it. They were ready to bind him to the bed if that was what it took to force Neo to rest. The next morning came. Neo left his residence after having the breakfast. As he walked through the bustling streets, warm smiles and cheerful greetings met him at every turn. Shopkeepers offered their finest treats, and families beckoned him warmly, their invitations to breakfast filled with gratitude and admiration. Mayor. Would you like these tarts? Sir Mayor, I've prepared something. Their gestures warmed Neo's heart. Neo could see the worries in their eyes as they peeked at his missing arm. He walked towards his office, coming across the library at 13th Street Avenue on the way. He noticed people around the library being nervous. The air around it felt tense, with nervous whispers and uneasy glances exchanged among the people nearby. The library was built on Neo's orders in memory of anomaly number 33. Some citizens had supported the library's creation, while others were against it. Anomaly number 33 protected them. True. But being under someone else's control for years was not good memory, even if it was done to help them. The citizens, although didn't support the library's creation, didn't create much trouble when Neo personally asked them to let him build the library. Stubborn as they were, they felt indebted to him and thus agreed. After taking a short tour of the city, Neo entered the mayor's office building. He was immediately greeted by Callista, who was tapping the floor with her right foot, her glare directed at him. Liliana stood behind Callista. Her head was lowered, too shy to meet Neo's eyes, but still wanting to stop Neo from entering the office. "Why are you here?" Callista spoke. "Because this is my office." "I see." Callista smiled. "Guards. Please escort Sir Mayor out. He is banned from working for a month." The guards came at her order. They looked at Neo with apologetic expressions. "At least tell me why I'm being thrown out. Look at your arm." "But it's not really a problem." Callista snapped at him. "You think we don't know you sneak out every night to train? This is why you." Neo nodded and nodded and nodded, listening to the lecture for another half hour. He regretted asking the question. Leaving the mayor's office building, he sighed. "They are treating me like a kid." Physically, Neo looked like a teenager. He had tried to tell them he was older than he looked, and they had nodded back then. But seeing Callista's reaction today, it was clear they thought he was lying about his age. Neo smiled. He could tell Callista was angry on his behalf. It wasn't a bad feeling. While he was touring the city on his break, 3 powerful presences entered his senses. "They are here." Neo tipped the coffee and left, walking towards the city gates. He sensed Cain and Alexander meeting Apollo and others at the entrance.